Welcome back to the channel. This is Roberto Full Curl Precision. Trying out the new tripod. It's working out really great. I actually really enjoy this thing. It's easy to maneuver. A lot better than that one. I still like it because it throws the extra light, makes things easy. Besides all that, here's some updates. So, um, here are the brass that I fire formed out of the existing chamber and necking and everything else like that. And it's just didn't come out the way I was hoping. So, because I tried to reverse engineer some data off of other cartridges, it just didn't work with what I was looking to do. And so at the end of the day, I decided to go back to the drawing board a little bit, not too much, and kind of do a little bit more and see if I could fine tune it. And so the guy that I'm working with over at the tooling company, he's been doing tooling and custom cartridges, and he's been making tooling for some of even the big names. You're talking like Hornady, Nosler, Sierra, just name it. Anybody who's been, inventing new cartridges, he's been working with. So he's been around the industry for a long time. Is a very knowledgeable, well-experienced man. And so his thing is he likes to see small guys succeed. And so we were talking, and he's kind of he's been kind enough to set some extra time aside for me. And he's been doing this for like 50 years. So he's been doing this and he's been seeing all of it. And so we were talking, and he had some ideas how to tighten things up to make it work really well. And so I took the suggestions and I've been applying them to the design work. And so we've been kind of going over things like tightening up throat tolerances, necking in the chamber tolerances, things like that. And so yeah, we settled on some dimensions. We came up with something together, and the order is in. The tooling is coming. It's going to take, I'm not sure exactly how long it's going to take. Hopefully not too long. But the plan is still in the existing barrel that I have, is to take a little bit off the back. So I'll have to shorten the barrel like a little bit where the chambering area is. And then it'll just rechamber that same barrel. And so it'll take a little bit off of it, but I'm not really worried about it. I've been kind of going through, and the overall dimensions of the case itself are staying the same that I started with. We just tightened up the tolerances on the chambering. I'm sticking with this same length as a standard 270. You can see that there. And that is not, yeah, you see that? There's too much expansion in that, and I really don't care for that. I want to be able to keep the neck the same. I'll still be able to have a really sharp shoulder and good powder reservoir, so that's going to happen. But with the variety of bullets that are going to be used in this cartridge, I wanted to maintain a slightly longer neck because it allows me to do the type of thing that Creedmoor and the PRCs are doing. If you notice what they've done as a consistent habit is they will shorten a case in order to keep the bullet out of the powder reservoir, because it's kind of counterproductive to have your cartridge a certain size when you're seating your bullet way down. And so the nice part about the 270 Winchester as a parent case is I don't have to trim the neck. I can leave it at the 2.54, and I can then use that long neck and seat in and out of it as I see fit, as long as I'm still getting an adequate bite. I don't want too little, but I don't have to worry about whether or not that boat tail or any part of the bullet is crushing down into my powder reservoir. It for the most part enables me to keep it out of that. And so that's what I kind of like. And I've posted different pictures like here on the YouTube. I had done videos, and I even did cutaways where I took two of my cases and I ground away where you can see into the case where I'm seating the 175 grain Sierras and how far down they seat in comparison to, let's say a standard 140 grain. As a matter of fact, here's two bullets that are in there now. I wonder if it'll show up here. So this is a 170 grain Berger. Now you can see where the neck is, and when I rotate it around, the boat tail is right there. So it's used up most of the neck. All right. And then this is actually a 140 grain Sierra. And you can kind of see there's the boat tail right there. So it still uses up the majority of the neck. So it's still got a good bite on it. It's not wiggling around. But notice I can now utilize the entire space of not only the body, but the shouldering area for powder reservoir. And then add into there, blowing out the shoulder. So basically going to almost a straight cartridge. And then your angle where it's much sharper, where you're creating more volume, you can create a much faster projectile. And that's going to kind of be the nice part about it. And so instead of completely shortening the case, what I'm doing is measuring actions and seeing what I can do to seat something out further. So you have different lengths of action, right? You have you have your short action, which is going to be things like 308, 243, 6.5 Creedmoor, the 6.8 Western, the WSM line, the 6.5 PRC, 7 SAUM, 7W, there's all the Creedmoors, really. There's a good variety. 7mm 08. You can get the words out. Ugh. There's a whole variety of bullets and cartridges that fit inside that short action, which are really good and useful and great for hunting. And also target shooting. There's actually been a whole slew of, you have the 6mm like GT and BR and different things like that are coming out. So that said, there's the short action. Then you have your standard action, which is part of the long action family. So there's two forms of long action, and I'll get into those. Long action is typically been out to 3.34. And then you have a Magnum that allows you to go out to 3.6. Your 25-06, your 30-06, your 270 Winchester, 280 Remington, 280 Ackley Improved, even your 7mm Rem Mag, your 300 Win Mag. There's a handful of cartridges that sit inside that 3.34. And they're Magnums. So, but your standard cases, that's pretty normal, right? And then you have long action that allows you to seat up to 3.6. The thing is, if you actually go into production, the biggest difference between a Magnum length action and a standard action is actually not even the opening on the top of the rifle, which is your bolt ejection. It's your bottom feed. So depending on the exact, and every manufacturer is a little different depending on how they do. Let's say it's a hidden blind, a blind magazine, a box magazine, AICS. There's or hinge plate. There's a handful of ways for them to manufacture the opening at the bottom of the action. But a lot of manufacturers are starting to realize there's no real need to make that big of an adjustment when it comes to your milling. If you're going to have a short action, you have a short action. If you're going to have a long action, you have a long action. And so they're manufacturing their actions, and they've narrowed it down to 2. And so that's kind of a nice thing, because then you have different ways to manipulate that with different aftermarket stocks and magazines, things like that. And so with the Ruger American Gen 1 and Gen 2, because I measured the bottom of the action and I got the according magazine, the magazine that I can use for this build allows me an inside total length of 3.56. Now that's like right at rubbing. And so no, I'm not seeding it out to that. But where you can get away with it is like a 3.45, 3.545 or 3.55. You're talking right there that you can manipulate this. So we went through and adjusted like the length of the lands for the bullets. We're seeding this out pretty far. And so I'm able to, with even my factory Bergara, I can seed out to basically those lengths. And I actually did a video demonstration. If you go into my videos and you go back and you look, I did a video demonstrating at 3.5255 with the burgers. I did 4 dummy loads. So it's just a brass and the bullet. There's no primer, no powder. I put 4 in the magazine, and they fed and ejected just fine. I did the same thing where I left my my reloading die at the same length, and I did the Sierras. They're a longer bullet, fed and ejected just fine. So there are a lot of modern style rifles that are just classics that you can then use. Let me go get that out of my hair. To just build on. And in that case, and here's the thing: you don't necessarily, when I say build on, I don't even mean replace the stock. You can literally go buy a Bergara, whether it's any of them. It doesn't matter, any of the B14s, and all you have to do is swap your barrel. Just match the profile of the barrel that's inside that stock, and you can get a 1-in-8, and you can chamber it in my cartridge, and it'll feed, shoot, and eject just fine. And that's actually kind of the plan with this Bergara. I am planning on rebarreling it with a matching profile, and it's got a good medium profile barrel. It's going to be perfect for hunting, and some target shooting. It's not too heavy for packing around the mountains. They're accurate. The nice part is I'm going to be able to now demonstrate the versatility of this cartridge in not just a custom, but in a conversion of a factory rifle. And that's the entire point. Is sometimes what people need is not to do a complete custom. Sometimes just go with a semi-custom. So taking this rifle into the gunsmith, they'll take off the barrel, and then they'll square up the action, also known as blueprinting, and they'll basically clean up the faces, put it together, and then here it is chambered in what I'm building. And the plan is to have it whereas my first prototype is going to be with a 22-inch barrel. Now it's going to be a little bit shorter than that, but not by a whole lot. Maybe just under a half-inch difference. But to have a 24-inch barrel as well. And then this way I can have reloading data for each loading into different barrel lengths. And the plan is to thus kind of keep a good consistent habit in this. And I'm trying different twist rates as well. The one I have right now, the barrel is from Excalibur. They offer the 5R, they offer in a 1-in-7. Pac-Nor offers a 5R in 1-in-8. And I'm going to try a Packnor barrel with this when it comes to building on the Bergara. The reason is I want to try different twist rates to see if I even need a 1 in 7. You know, because there's going to be different bullets and different options and different weights. So I want to see, do I really need it, or am I, you know, did I waste my time going with a certain barrel twist? You know, if it's going to stabilize with a 1 in 8, I don't see the point in having a 1 in 7. Is it going to hurt anything going to 1 in 7? No. But at the end of the day, this is mainly getting built around a certain weight range, starting from 130 grain. The optimal grain weights for this bullet are gonna be your 130s, your 140s, your 150s, up to a 165. And yes, you're gonna be able to do 170 and 175 and even a 180. Will they be as fast as a Magnum? No. That's okay. But out of a 24-inch barrel, with the 170 grain Berger, with my just inserting in the GRT in the computer, out of a 24-inch barrel, and mind you, this is based upon sea level. Yeah, that's the other thing. Gordon's reloading tool is based upon sea level and a standard 6-groove barrel. Okay, so there's that. It's saying I can get 2,900 to 2,925 feet per second out of a 24-inch barrel with a 170 grain Berger with my case design. I kind of hope that's true. Actually, I kind of hope I get faster than that. Especially when you're switching over to things like 5R. So with less resistance comes faster velocities. And so that's going to be the up point here, is you're going to be able to load it pretty well. And the nice part about it is when we get a chance to do a proper shooting video with it, even from the gunsmith himself, he says he's loving the idea, because he's like, man, this rifle shoots like it's a 243, just super light in its recoil. Well, that's what I'm designing it for. That's what I want. I want the thing to be just fun to shoot for anybody who's going to try it out. Whether it's a man, a woman, a child, large or small. Even for somebody who's recoil sensitive, who has, maybe they have bad shoulders. My wife has bad shoulders. So, there's that. So something with high recoil is not good for her. So building something that can deliver some serious knockdown and some serious penetration while maintaining a fairly mild recoil, that's primo. That's absolutely primo. That's what I want. That's why I kind of like the 270 to begin with also, is it is going to mimic that, but it's going to actually surpass it. And, to anyone who's watching this, in no way, shape, or form am I ever going to tell you that your grandpa's 270 or that your 270 or 30-06 or 308 or 7x57 Mauser or whatever version of any rifle you want is no good. I'm not going to tell you that, because if I did, I'd be lying to you. What I am going to tell you is I'm not trying to replace them. I'm trying to add to them. Something that has very good value, is usable for not only hunting but also target shooting, is fun, not that expensive to reload, not that expensive to get into to begin with, and that you can just use. Because once I get everything together, I am going to get a price list as far as reloading and resizing dies. And then if you guys want to even build it for yourself, I'll put together a whole price list and we'll get it going. But yeah, I appreciate all the support. I really do. We're up to 125 subs. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Anything helps. So that's what I have for tonight. Thank you for all the support, and we'll talk to you again.